Chris Billam-Smith was awarded a unanimous decision of scores 116, 111, 115, 112 and 115, 112. And the self-same Chris Billam-Smith is sitting here on this rooftop in Frankfurt, Germany, with some of the England fans who've shown up. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Billam-Smith is with us here. How about it? And as you listened to that back, you had a very broad grin on your face. How does it feel, having seen off Richard Riakporhe last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very satisfying win for me. Him beating me before, obviously, 5 years ago. And then, you know, kind of seeing it as the last of the British cruiserweights, you know, that I'll probably fight because of the where we're at. You know, it's sort of him and Lawrence at the last two. And, yeah, I'm really pleased, really satisfied and, really proud of myself.
You've got one or two bruises, a bit bashed up after the fight itself, Chris. But did it go almost precisely to plan?
Yeah, the bruises. You know, Richard punches hard. I can confirm that. But yeah, I think the game plan was spot on. Me and Shane came Shane came up with it, but there's a few things we spoke about, and yeah, it was exactly that. Went to plan and sort of nullified him and did what we had to do. So yeah, really pleased with the whole performance and the game plan.
Were you surprised by Riakporhe's tactics, Chris? He did a lot of holding, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did that before in the first fight, and a lot of people do. You know, him and Lawrence are tall, so they overreach with their shots and stuff like that. So, and after the big right hand comes in, they're kind of off balance and a lot of time they hold. So yeah, there was a lot of holding, and it's not nice being on the inside with me. You know, I'm very, very effective in there. So I guess that's why they want to hold.
Simon, one or two people said after the fight, yeah, sure, Chris won it. Of that, there is no doubt. But not for the first time in boxing. There were a few raised eyebrows about some of the scorecards of the judges.
Oh, undoubtedly. I was just saying this to Chris before we came on air. I don't see the scoring. I think the 116 and 111, which would have been 116 and 112 if he hadn't had a point taken off, was probably reflective. I had it 8-4, maybe even 9-3 to Chris. It was a convincing victory. So how judges got 115, 113, I don't really know. The reassuring aspect of it is that it was a unanimous decision, so we didn't have any debate about one judge seeing it in a certain way. I mean, I think you're in the same space there, Chris. I think you raised your eyebrows about the scoring, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we had me 9-3 up in the corner, and they're usually pretty harsh. And most people, and watching it back, I had it 10-2. I can't see how you could give him 5 rounds without the point taken off. I just can't see it. There's no way he won 5 rounds that fight. There's no way. So yeah, shocking. And I mean, when they were getting announced, me and Shane were looking at each other like, how have they come to those scores?
Yeah.
So yeah, but the right man did win, but there's still an issue because if there had been no point taken off and 1 round had gone the other way, that fight would have been a draw, which is, it was.
But how do you solve this, Chris? I mean, it's an area of the sport that's got to be addressed, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's hard because it's subjective, isn't it, in terms of the judging. It's human. We're all humans, so there's not a definitive point scoring system, and there shouldn't be, because then you have to bring in maybe head guards with sensors on, all that, and then it ruins the sport. But yeah, it's something needs to be done. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer.
Well, it's up to the board, isn't it, to get explanations of how referees are scoring matches and how judges are scoring things, more importantly. I was curious to see, I mean, some noise has been made about Riakporhe's performance, as you know. Right, and first and foremost, I owe you an apology because I picked Richard Riakporhe.
Yeah, so I mean, in the words of Gabby, you were miles off it.
I was miles off it. Well, he would know about being miles off things because he spent his lifetime in that situation. But yeah, I was absolutely wrong, and I'm pleased. I think I said at the time, either one of you that wins the fight, I'd be delighted for. But both of you, I think, are very good representatives of the right things in society. Was it the fight that you anticipated it would be? I mean, I thought that Richard would bring it a bit more. I thought that he would step on you earlier in the fight and try and assert himself and create some doubt in your mind. He didn't. Is that because you didn't allow him to, and the game plan was to do things in a certain way? I mean, how did it play out from the moment you leave the dressing room to the moment you're in the first round?
I think I kind of expected it to be the way it was. I didn't expect him to start too early because he knows I can fight at pace.
Yeah.
And he never does fight at pace. So, when you're big at the weight, he may be tight at the weight. You don't want to fatigue yourself too soon. He's a big puncher. All his fights are fairly slow pace. He's lost a lot of rounds in his career, and then pulled some great shots out the bag. But I think where my intensity laid and everything I was doing took all his strengths away from him. And then, obviously I was wary of the right hand throughout, because that's a huge shot of his. If that lands on anyone, they can be knocked out by it. But yeah, I think going into it, by the time we got to the ring walk, I knew how the fight was going to go. I think for those reasons he wasn't going to start fast, and I could assert some dominance quite early on. And then it's just about staying focused throughout the fight. And he had a little bit of a spell, 20-30 seconds in round 9, but I still had a half decent round, but I'll probably give him round 9. But yeah, other than that, it was it's just down to the game plan, I think.
What sort of reaction does it invoke in you when people like me pop up and say, I think Richard Riakporhe? I think I might have even tipped Lawrence Okoli. I picked you for Masternak because I thought you would win that fight. But what kind of reaction does it bring out in you? You sit there and you hear someone say to you, and a lot of people were tipping Riakporhe for this fight.
Yeah.
Does it galvanise you? Is it background noise? Does it right up yours? I'll prove the point.
Yeah, there's always that wanting to prove people wrong, or it's not even necessarily wanting. It's just a knowing, because I know what I'm capable of, and me and my team know what I'm capable of. But you don't see me in the gym. You see the last version of me, which was Masternak. So I understand everyone's reasoning behind picking Richard to knock me out. His last fight, he's knocked someone out. The last 5 fights, he's knocked people out. I took way too many shots against Masternak, but they're different styles, and he sets up his shots very different. So I knew that, and obviously I knew I'd be more switched on for Richard. So it doesn't bother me at all. It's very easy to block that out.
So where now, Chris? I mean, you're now the WBO cruiserweight champion of the world. You defended your title twice now, as you quite rightly say. But everyone loves domestic dust-ups, right? And you've done the two, pertinent cruiserweights, taking the belt off one and defending one against one, but everyone perceived might be the champion in waiting. You've got a cruiserweight division now that's got a superstar in people's minds at the top of it in Opatea. Where is the direction of travel for you now? Yeah,
I mean, it's unification, so as any of the belts, but for me, I've always wanted to fight in America, Right. Yes, a dream, I think, for any Brit coming through. So Zurdo Ramirez is the Mexican. He's a WBA champion. I'd like to fight him first, and then I'd like Opatea to fight Mikhailian. Right. And then we could unify. Go for an undisputed fight. I think that would be the perfect roadmap for me. I'm aware that it might not happen because of boxing politics and whatnot, but for me, that's what I'd like now. No conversations have really been had. Zurdo's messaged me and said he's up for it. Congratulations, and he's up for it. And I think he's not an easy fight by any stretch. He's a very, very good fighter.
I was going to say, what does he bring? I mean, obviously, he stepped up from light heavy, right? And people remember his performance against Bivol. Had a couple of cruiserweight fights. He's got the WBA belt. What does he bring in terms of challenge for you?
Well, he's a southpaw who's, he puts his shots together really well. He's got great variety in his shots, body, head, straight shots. He can box on the back foot. He can keep it long, but he can also add Gulamirian pressures people the whole fight, and he managed to just nullify him and just pick him apart really, and win very convincingly. So a really hard challenge, and one that me and Shane were speaking about just yesterday when I was with Shane. It's not an easy fight by any stretch, and nor should it be at this level. You're unifying the division, so it's a challenge that really excites me.
Chris, obviously Simon and I knew that you were going to be joining us live here in Germany. I think Simon even organised this, which was good. You must have felt great there walking in onto the roof garden of this place. A bunch of England fans have gathered pretty early for the game against Denmark. They clock you instantaneously. They give you a round of applause. Must make you feel great.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. The support I've got from back home, obviously originally, was phenomenal, and then even we had Crystal Palace fans after the fight coming up to me and stuff like that saying congratulations, and it's so nice to get that support. It's really
well deserved, lovely. By the way.
And and it's just so nice. Obviously, we're all out here to support England today, and it's nice to get a few photos and stuff.
I was supporting Scotland last night, Chris, but at least they came away with a point. And they're still in it. Chris Billam-Smith with us live here in Frankfurt.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.